Research in Motion is predicting some dire forecasts, but they are pinning their hopes to a new phone coming out later this year. Chip Cummins is joining us in Toronto this morning with the latest.
Hi, how are
Chip,
you?
thanks so much for being here. Thanks. This is a company we've been watching for a while, struggling to get back on its feet. It once dominated this market, but not anymore. What is going on this morning, certainly when we look at this new news?
Yeah, well, last night they surprised markets again by saying that for the quarter that's about to end, they expect an operating loss. Now, that may not sound so dramatic after a year of pretty horrible news, falling BlackBerry sales, crumbling market share. But throughout all its troubles, RIM has always been able to say it was a profitable company. Now, last quarter, it had a net loss, but an operating profit. This time it's saying that it's losing money on its operations, taken extremely negatively by investors last night, who sold off shares quite heavily, and we expect the same this morning.
And in reading your article, it appears that they're somewhat, though, optimistic because they've got this new phone and operating software coming out. No exact date yet, right, on when it will be released, but they seem to be pinning a lot of optimism and hope to this. Is that enough to turn this company around, you think?
That's right. I mean, that's been their turnaround strategy for the better part of 18 months. The new CEO, Thorsten Heinz, who took over earlier this year, is betting the farm essentially on their new BlackBerry called the BlackBerry 10, which will be powered by a new operating system. The problem is we don't know when it's going to launch, and it's being launched at a time when RIM is cutting costs dramatically to save cash. It's in the middle of a major senior management reshuffle. It shed about 2,000 jobs last year and has said that it expects to shed significant numbers of jobs in certain areas again this year. So it's a very tumultuous time to be launching your make-or-break product, but that's what RIM has said it's going to do. Now, they've also said, hey, we're going to look at all options, and Mr. Heinz has not ruled out a sale of the company, but at a $6 billion market cap, RIM is still a pretty big company. That's a pretty big bite, even for the likes of Microsoft. And those companies have not stepped out of the shadows. No one has stepped out of the shadows to say, you know what, we are interested in picking this up.
And we just were looking actually at pictures of the new BlackBerry that'll be coming out, I guess, later this year there on the monitor. And you talked about they're looking at all options. I understand they've hired some top outside advisors to advise the board, perhaps, as you said, to sell the company. And what are they really doing to counteract this loss of market share to Apple and also devices that run off Google's Android operating system? I mean, why can't they continue to hold on to the people they have? They had such a domination especially with business workers. You know, the RIM BlackBerry was such a popular device for the business person out there. What is going on? Why can't they hold on to that?
Well, I mean, the answer dates back to several years ago when you saw the launch of the iPhone, a revolutionary product, right, that was geared specifically towards the consumers. Now, RIM has gone in that direction with some of its phones, offering cameras and apps, but was completely taken by surprise and left in the dust by Apple and then by the Android phones. Now, they've tried to claw back. Last summer they launched a new line of phones called the BlackBerry 7, but they have not been selling well at all. People aren't gravitating towards them. So if people don't gravitate towards this next phone, RIM is out of options essentially. And the prototype that you saw, just to make it clear for our viewers out there, is not a finished product. It's a prototype that's being handed out to developers, which gives them the feel of the operating system, but it's not supposed to look at all like the phone that will eventually hit store shelves. So everyone is in the dark about how much of a new device that will be, and it's got to be a real home run for it to make any dent in iPhone sales or Android sales.